All right, guys, we should be live. So what we're going to do today, we're going to finish up kind of where we left off here, talking about sort of just how VORs work. In this particular instance, we're going to talk about how VORs work with regard to an approach, something that we refer to as an instrument approach. We haven't gotten to that part yet, but we'll talk about that after we get through airspace. Okay? So at the end, we're going to kind of mop up what the test on tomorrow is going to be like. It will involve big red and big blue. So basically anything in those materials and anything in the chapter with regard to VORs are going to be fair game. The test will consist of the prepware for your private pilot, so the VOR. Now it's time to load that second number to activate your instrument prepware code. Okay? Now's the time to load that. So on big red, you'll have a code. And the exact same way that you did it on your blue book to activate a new license for the instrument rating, that's what you're going to do. So get that done today. And get that activated, because prepware will be on both the private pilot license that you have and the instrument rating license that you have. You guys got that? Big red, big blue. So what you're going to do is that you're going to look in there and you're going to look at the table of contents, which outlines the contents, and you're going to find VORs, and everything under there with the VOR is fair game. So that's what that quiz is going to be like. Okay? You all good with that? Then on Wednesday, we are going to do airspace. So that's chapter, what is that, 18? Yeah. Okay. So Wednesday, we will do 18. So read the chapter 18 prior to class on Wednesday. Wednesday. Okay. All right, now let's talk about this for just a little bit. What I'm going to show you here, you remember that whole thing that I was telling you about those many weeks ago about how useful AOPA can be? Well, here's how it can be useful. So I had like a breakfast burrito this morning, and it had green chili in it. And you know how like sometimes green chili, it'll have like that fiber kind of running through there, and I feel like that's what I have in my teeth right now. It just feels icky, so I'm just throwing that out there. But I'm feeling a little uncomfortable right now. Okay, so on the AOPA, and again, remember, you guys as students can get a student membership for free to AOPA, so you just got to go on there, find it, register, log in. So what I did, they have a whole You Can Fly or Go Fly section, and under the Go Fly section, it gives you all these things about your flight planning, airports, weather, all that stuff. So with this, I tapped into the airport on my airport search, PHOG, as you will look in front of you there at the VOR for runway 20. This is in Maui, and this is the Kahului Airport in Maui. And that's it right there. So this is a top shot, what we call a plan view of the airport itself. And why these Google Earth images here can be really important, especially if you're flying into an airport that you haven't been to before. You can kind of go down here and you can sort of explore. So you can see, okay, all right, if I'm looking here at the islands, I'll know Maui because Maui has got the great big island over here, and then northwest of that it's got another little thing over here. By the way, this volcano at the top of this, Haleakala, that's about 10,000 feet right there. If you ever go to Maui, you've got to go to Haleakala because there's an observation area just over here. Well, I think it's like right here. And you can look over here to the east, kind of northeast, where that volcano is kind of spilled out over here. And honest to goodness, you just feel like you're on Mars. So we should, yeah, there we go. Lanai is over here, Molokai is over here. shoot, I forget what this one is. But anyway, this just kind of tells you where it is. And then you can kind of look in here. We can zoom in a little bit. We can see that we have a real lowland area coming in right here. We know the airport's over here, so it makes sense that we come in here this direction from kind of the south, we'll just call it south, or from the north, because coming in here from the west or coming in here from the east could be problematic due to terrain. So that's one of the things that we kind of take a look at. We look down here, and what we can do is we can kind of scroll through here and just sort of see some of the land details here around this airport. Not a lot to look at off to the north except waves and whales. But if we look down here in this low-lying, sort of this agricultural area down here, down low, one of the things that you can see here as you get a little closer, one of the things that you'll want to pay attention to are if you are approaching this airport, if I can find the airport, if you're approaching this airport kind of from the south, there's a couple of things that you might want to pay attention to. This little complex right over here. If we look at this, you see that smokestack right there? Do you remember me talking about the difference in like localizer, which is left and right guidance, and then your glide slope, which is vertical guidance, and wanting to stay a particular angle, in this case normally about 3 degrees, it's the hypotenuse, if you will, that has been established to keep you out of harm's way with regard to obstacles. Do you think this smokestack array right here could be an obstacle? Yes, it could. Because if somebody gets tempted to do the old duck under thing here like that, it may not end well. And so these are things here that you might want to take a look at to see what is it exactly that I'm seeing here as an obstacle. So, just throwing that out there. But this is pretty useful when you're looking at the airport. You can see here with the airport, you can see here's runway 2, 2 zeros at the other end. That's the reciprocal of 2, 2 0. So with this, we can see the airport over here. We can see that we have aircraft over here. We can see we have another runway and the terminal building here for the airport. So it just kind of gives us a little orientation, which sort of helps us if we haven't been to that airport before, or if we have and we just want to identify something. This is a great way to do it. Kind of make sense? Come on. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. What happened? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to close that anyway. All right, so there's that Google Map thing. It'll give you airport information very similar to your chart supplements. It will also, as you look down here, you can get weather information, your METARs and your TAFs. It'll tell you about your fuel. Woo! $7.26 a gallon for 100 low lead. Pricey. Pricey. Then here, what do you think we have here? So let's just say that we wanted to take a look at that airport diagram. Well, you can take a look at it, get it printed up, so that you have it with you in the airplane if you don't have ForeFlight. If you have ForeFlight, you already have it with you. And this gives you more information there about the airport, just as it would in your chart supplement. Then, down here, we also have some of the departure procedures, hot spots on the airport, and your instrument approach procedures, IAP, instrument approach procedures. One of the ones that is one of my favorites is the ILS, Instrument Landing System, to runway 2. And we will be working on that once we get to the actual instrument approaches like this. There are GPS approaches, VOR approaches, VOR, runway 20. And that's what we're going to look at now. So when we look at runway 20, I am going to open this up a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to draw. Wonder if it'll let me do this. Yeah, this one will. First thing that we notice on here on the margins is we notice the date. Are we within the range for this chart or this approach plate to be current?
Yes.
Yes. So this would be one that we could legally use to get to this airport with this approach. Next thing, we're going to look over here. Kahului Airport in Maui. Is that where we want to go? Mm-hmm. Yes, verify that. Second thing, we're going to look over here and make sure that here we are, Kahului, that we're in the right spot. Do you have any idea how many times a year an airplane, even the big boys, land at the wrong airport? It happens more than you think. Oftentimes, Kylie, I would not lie to you, dear. I would not lie to you. Here's why. A lot of times at larger cities, you're going to have airports that are going to be lined up, like you'll have one to the south and one to the north, with the exact same runway orientation. Why does it have the exact same runway orientation? Thank you very much. Because with a time study, they have determined this is going to be the most prevalent direction for the winds. And so sometimes coming in, even with your instruments set up to land to the runway to the south, you're looking at the runway to the north. And then all of a sudden you get conflicting information here about this runway, and you say, wait a minute, I'm too high on my glide slope. What the heck, what the heck, what the heck? My instruments must be wrong. And you land over here. That happens. Oops. So we want to verify the fact that we have a current chart going to the right runway in the right city. So those are the things that we verify first. Then, as we get a little further along and we start talking about the approaches, then I'll tell you how to actually begin briefing the approach plate. To brief the approach plate. We're not going to do that today, but what we are going to do is we're going to take a look here at the plan view of this approach. Now look down at the VOR. Look down at the approach plate that I just gave you. So if we look here at this approach plate on the plan view, what you can do is you can approach this VOR. You're going to fly outbound here over the ocean. You're going to make a procedure turn here, come back, intercept the inbound radial of 194 for the VOR to land on runway 20. And that's what we're going to do here. So as we overfly the VOR, what kind of a thing are we expecting our HSI, or the VOR indicator, what is it that we're thinking that's going to do? Well, if we look here, well, that one's going to be tough to see. Let me change this view. This is going to be kind of a clunky thing here. Forgive me here. So if we look now, I'm hopeful, because right now I cannot get the display to show up through our ATEM switching device thing. So I think you can see this. So through, move this slightly. So you can see on our HSI right here, we're going to have at some point, if I set this up correctly, give me just a second. Okay, we're going to set that up. I'm going to go CDI here. Now, you can see that where I'm flying right now is that my course, I'm flying roughly northwest. You can see here that my course that I want to fly is actually which direction to me? It's to my right. So to go intercept that course line, which we would assume is going to be some form of a radial, what way am I going to turn? Right. To the right. That's right. However, when I look at this now, I can, because of the fact that I don't have a particular route to come into this airport here, I can basically adjust my course, and by doing this, now all I have to do is level my wings and keep that needle centered. How far away from the airport am I?
4.8.
I'm 4.8 miles from the center of the airfield. But how far away am I from the actual VOR? you remember where the VOR is? It is at it. That is correct. It is at the approach end of runway 20. So it's actually further. The VOR is actually further away than the center of the airfield.
In this situation,
right here where my airplane is located. How do I tell where my airplane is located right now? Because if I couldn't see the ground, I can look right here. And we know that in class Charlie airspace, that first inside ring is how far away from the center of the airfield. Huh. So that checks, right? And we can see here with my north up orientation that I am south of the field, flying this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly here, and then I'm going to fly outbound for this course. Now the one thing I wanted to see here is that on this procedure that I have selected, so select the approach. Why isn't that on there? Oh, that's not good. Hang on. What happened to it? I had it on there because I was looking at this and I was thinking, wait a second, where's the outline of my approach? So I have PHOG selected. I'll catch up here in just a second here. So procedure, select an approach, enter. I don't understand. I don't understand where this went. I had this dialed in. Well, that's not going to work. Really? God. I had that set up. Let me try this. Nearest, PHOG. Direct to, enter, enter. Okay. So there's the direct to. Procedure, select an approach, enter. Now it's going to do it. So which approach do I want? VOR 20. That one right there. Yeah. Enter. I'm going to go, instead of vectors, I'm going to go to the VOR, OGG. Enter. And now, instead of loading it, I want to activate it. I'm close enough now that I want to activate that approach. Now watch what happens on the display there on the GPS. All right. Now, do you see how we now have a line going out here away from the airport that you're going to be able to see here in just a minute? I'll move this here just a little bit. So if I range this here, whoops, I'll go the other way. I always forget which plus or minus, what that actually is. So if you see here, you can see here now that there's my outbound, here's my procedure turn, coming back in here inbound to land. This part down here is my missed approach. So if for whatever reason I get down to my minimums and I can't see the runway or one of the 11 things to help me identify that runway area on my approach, then I must go missed. And then this outlines the missed approach instructions to go out here and hold until they can fit me back into the schedule to send me back in here and try it again. So that's what it shows you here on your GPS. Good so far? Look on your approach plates there. See if you can find the missed approach instructions. Can you see them? So, if we look up here at the top, we have missed approach instructions here at the top. But also, we have missed approach instructions down here just below the plan view here on the profile view. What is the one thing, do you suppose, that you're going to have to memorize when you brief this approach? Those of you that said missed approach, give yourselves a shoulder spraining pat on the back. Okay? The rest of the stuff, the reason that you have it here in print is so you don't necessarily have to memorize it. Each of it comes at you in sections, and you fly each section. But you got to know what's next. What's the most important thing in aviation? The next thing, okay? So that's what we're doing here. So let's see if we can fly this. Now, for the purposes of this, guys, I'm actually going to sit over here at the controls and actually fly this doggone thing versus standing beside the machine and wobbling it around the way that I did it. And then I will attempt to talk you through the various phases here of this as I do it. Okay, so we'll leave it on that. Is that right? Yes, we're going to leave it on that. And then I'm going to start this puppy, and then I will pause occasionally just to show you things that are somewhat pertinent. I left the sky predominantly clear. Harris, hand me that chair, would you please? I left the sky predominantly clear because as I go back and forth, I wanted you to see the land versus, to kind of see where you are, versus the way it's going to be like later on when we're in the clouds. Because when we're in the clouds, the only thing you're going to see is just white. Okay. All right. First thing I'm going to do is kind of get back on my course here. All right, so there's that. Somebody tell me what altitude I should be at. We've got a... Oh, wait a second here. I think I know what's happening. Nope, I put the autopilot on. Okay, so the autopilot's on. That's why I did this. Okay. All right. So right now, if we look here, we can see that we're kind of coming over the airport here, and we know that our VOR is over here somewhere. It's coming right over here. Oops, that's what I wanted to show you. So our VOR is like right here. Okay, so we're flying over the runway area. That's behind us. We don't want that. Okay, so now I'm lined up. And in just a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to GPS, because one of the things that I want to see is I want to see if the GPS can follow that outbound course. So, are we getting close to the, are we getting close? We're going to watch this arrow right here. This is the arrow on our VOR indicator here that is going to flip. Now look at our inset. On the inset right here, we can see that we're approaching this VOR. So we're pretty doggone close. See that? So now we're going to watch what happens to this needle. Can you kind of see what's going on here? What's my indicated airspeed right now? 106. All right, you see how it's just about to flip here? So just watch what happens. See how it flips? Now I'm going to change this because it's trying to go back. Wow, we're doing aerobatics. It actually did flip. Okay, so the aerobatics, there we go, guys. So I'm going to hand fly this. I have the airplane. So now, what am I going to do on my outbound course here? What do I want to center? I want to center this needle. So I'm going to fly this thing here. I'm going to move my heading bug right here, give myself a target. Here it comes. It's starting to come in. So I'm going to give a turn here. Reacquire this. This thing is still on the autopilot. I'm going to have to pause this and take the autopilot off because if I don't, bad things are going to happen again. Stand by.
Dangers of autopilot.
What did we say about autopilots? There we are. It tried. We tried to do our best Sean D. Tucker right there. So let me get back to this display. All right, and here we go. There we are. That beep is telling me that the autopilot's been disconnected. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to recenter my needle here. And this is my course. I'm going to fly outbound. Now, you can see where I am here. Now, I can do this because the Garmin G1000 will do it'll do the outbound leg of this, and I can follow this. Or the other legal way for me to do it is this. Change my CDI, and then I want, what is it that I want to dial into here from the VOR? What should I be on right here from the VOR?
Radial 014.
Yeah.
So the reciprocal of 194, which is our approach radial.
It took me so long to figure that out, but I finally did. Even before Gavin said it. I've been doing it for like 20 minutes now.
That a girl. So I want, what is it, Gavin? 014. Stand by. Okay, so as it happens, I'm pretty darn close. So now I'm going to do this the legal way, and I'm going to use my magenta line there as guidance. Okay, now you can see the plan view. When you look down here at the profile view of this approach, in the upper right-hand corner, what does it say? Remain within 10 nautical miles. So I can't go out there too far before I need to turn around and come back. And I know that I needed to cross here, and it says maintain 4,500 or above until established outbound for the procedure turn. So now that I'm established outbound, I can start descending.
Wouldn't you want to start descending when you were over the ODG VOR? Because it says right there, like...
I can start descending because I've passed the VOR. Yes. So I'm going to start descending. Okay? Now, what altitude, however, can I not get below before I start back inbound? 1,900. You see, because it's got the bar underneath it, that's my ceiling. Excuse me, that's my floor. I cannot get below 1,900 feet on my descent before I begin to turn inbound. Then, if you look down below in that category box that says S20, right here, S20, my minimums here, my minimum descent altitude is 420 feet. So when I start inbound, I cannot descend below 420 feet. Because of the fact that this is a non-precision approach, and I'm using a VOR radial for this, I can come down to 420 feet before I get to where I need to be, as long as I don't go below it. All right. Let's give this a ride here. So now I'm going to start my descent. Now I'm going to start my descent. Come on, trim. And I'm going to start reducing some power. I'm wondering if this machine is out of calibration again here. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to pause and do something here real quick. I'm going to recenter my heading bug here. And on my altitude, I'm going to give myself a new target. Whoops. 1900. So now I have set my altitude bug here of 1900. Okay. I just slaved my heading bug to my outbound here, and again, it's going to be wind dependent. And I'm descending outbound here. All right? Now, this says not to go beyond 10. So we know this ring here in Charlie airspace is 5. This ring is 10. So, got to have 10 and then inbound here. But you don't have to go that far if you don't want to, or unless they tell you to extend your outbound. So in this case, I'm going to start this a little quicker so that I can get this wrapped up.
Sure.
Yes?
But your distance is 10.2 nautical miles.
On this, this is kind of messed up.
Okay, because I was going to say, like, you're not even 5.
Yeah, because the top piece here, and that's a great catch. This is kind of messed up because we know where OGG is, and so there's something else kind of squirrely going on here, and I'm not 100% sure. I had this all set up on Friday, and I don't know what's happened to it between the time that I shut it off and just turned it back on, but we're going to get it figured out. All right, so here I am. Sounds like a story around the campfire. So there I was. Okay, now what's my altitude?
3,500.
What is my rate of descent?
1,017,000.
Okay, by the way, you would not go with that kind of a rate of descent. Normally you want to keep it somewhere less than 700 feet per minute, especially if you're in an unpressurized aircraft, because you may have passengers start to complain about ear issues. But I'm doing this a little bit here just to kind of get quick. Now then, when I begin my procedure turn, what should my heading be on the first part of my procedure turn? 329er. I'm going to turn left to 329er. So now, before I begin that 329er on my procedure turn, you guys see where that is, right? So what I'm going to do is, before I'm ready to turn, I'm going to move my heading bug to what? Now, I want you to look at this. Oh, come on. Do you see these tick marks here? So here you have your heading. Here's 90 degrees. Here's 180 degrees. And here's 45 degrees. What do you suppose if you took the outbound here and you added 90 degrees to that, or subtracted 90 degrees, what do you think you'd get? 45 degrees. If you took your outbound heading and you subtracted 45 degrees, what do you think you'd get? So this is one of the reasons that they put these 45 degree marks here on your HSI, is so that you can quickly bring your heading bug over here to get this 45 degree going outbound. So I'm going to preset this to 329er. I'm a little bit off here because I'm 2 degrees off. So I'm going to get ready to turn here, and I'm going to make a descending turn outbound to 329er. And there's going to be one other thing that I do when I do this. And again, this is just kind of a preliminary thing about what instrument stuff is going to be like. Okay, so here we are. Now, I'm going to do a descending turn. I blew my altitude there, didn't I? I needed to stay above 1900. I was watching something else. See how crazy that can be? So I'm going to get my altitude back. All right, here. Now, the next thing I would do when I intercept this is this. See this little timer guy right here? I want to fly outbound for either 1 or 2 minutes. You fly outbound for either 1 or 2 minutes. It depends on kind of how you were taught and what your altitude is. If I were still high at this point, I might go 2 minutes. But right now that I'm at my altitude, I only need 1 minute here. It's to fly outbound on that course of 329er for 1 minute before I begin a standard rate turn to the right to come back in and re-intercept that. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can do the old teardrop thing where you go out, extend, and come back this way. or the procedure turn here that they're showing, this is where you're going to turn left, and then you're going to turn right, and then you're going to turn right, again, to intercept your course. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. So now, let me undo this. Let me get my altitude back here, stand by, and I forgot to start my timer. Darn it, where's my timer? Start, enter. See, it's harder when you have to do this, and you're doing it with the mouse.
Mr. Just like a heads up, class ends in 3 minutes.
Oh, you're kidding. Doggone it. And we were having so much fun.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what's coming tomorrow
No.
on VORs? Okay.
Can you just give us like a quick?
I don't have who's got big blue, big red? Who can hand me big blue and big red? Did you guys bring it or no? All right. Gavin, what is that blue book right there? Okay. All right, guys, hang on. Doggone it. I was really wanting to finish that. I get so caught up in other stuff.
And it's so fun to like actually fun.
Yeah, we're going to do this here. Okay, so for instance, in Big Blue, if you look here, are you going to find VOR stuff in Chapter 6 here under the weather?
No.
Probably not. Weather services? Probably not. Aircraft performance? Probably not. En route flight, I'm looking. I don't see anything about VORs in here. Navigation, oh, what the heck? Look here. VOR. VOR. Course determination, VOR airways, VOR checkpoints. I've got VORs, okay?
Should we study GPS too, just to have that comparison, or?
Well, I mean, you're going to study it anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not going to hurt you.
I have been anyway.
Then in Big Red, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to look under navigation, and you're going to look at the VOR section there in Big Red to prepare. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
All good?
How did we set up like just really quick, how did we do
We get the code from the book, and then we plug it into like the thing where it's like subscription.
You have your account for ASA. You had to have had an account to go ahead and get that set up. So you dial into your I'm sorry, forget that. Prepware, duh. Prepware online. So you go to Prepware online, and then you're going to add an additional code to it. Okay, so it's in the book. Yeah, yes, it's right here. In Big Red, it's right there.
Can you write down for me all the paperwork that we need to have in? Like, should I just fill out every piece of paperwork that I own and bring it in? Because I don't know what paper, like for the insurance and for the badges.
Remember insurance, you don't have to have right now. You only have to have the aircraft insurance whenever you're ready to solo.
Okay.
But everything else needs to be filled out.
I will try to bring that to you either tomorrow or Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay, off you go.
Hey, Mr. R.
Yes.
I'm probably gonna miss Thursday, and I'm definitely gonna be missing Friday.
Thank you, Mr. R.
Okay,
Just
all right,
like,
guys.
Is there anything I should start on?
Well, airspace, because you're
Okay,
going to have,
airspace.
we're going to do airspace on Wednesday, and there will be an airspace quiz on Friday.
Okay, so I'll be missing that.
Yes. And then after
What
that,
should I do about that? Like, when should I make that up?
as
Like,
soon as you, after spring break.
Spring break?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because I'm not going to be here.
Got it.
I'll be I'm also missing Thursday and Friday.
We will miss you.
I'm going to Maui. Good thing. I'm so happy we like studied up on it, because when we land, I'll be like, oh look, there's runway 20. And
So Cooper is going to Maui as well.
so many people are.
Yeah, everybody's going to Maui.
I'm going to Hawaii.
Where are you going?
Hawaii.
Kauai? All right, so Gavin will be in Kauai as well. So we're going to have 2 of you in Maui, 2 of you in Kauai. Anybody else?
Hawaii's popular.
At your house? Yeah. I'm going to be down in New Orleans. Anybody? Anybody?
I'm gonna be in Florida. I will see you
Okay.
on Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, hon. Thank you.
Are you you're here on Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Bye, Miss Shore.
All right, see you, hon.